welcome. I know, I was getting very teary at that all over again. Just gonna wait for a few people, but if folks have questions or anything, I want to hear from everybody. Oh, can you hear me? Is that working? Hold on, let me. Is this better? Okay, great. Yeah, this is my job working with a microphone. I should be good at this. um, So I don't know if folks have questions. I can just talk about my reactions watching it again in the meantime, and but please jump in with questions or responses. And Mary fan group cheers because I'm here for it. But yeah, it was really special getting to watch that. I think I'm completely astounded by Mary and her beauty all over again every time I watch that, and especially getting to see it all together with the art and the music. Yeah, it's so emotional, and just seeing them, put Mary's specialness up on stage and get to celebrate that. That was perhaps one of the greatest professional joys of my life. Thank you. I'm reading this comment. Oh, I'm so glad. Yeah, it was a real treat. Um, what started me on the story? Yeah, so in the piece I mentioned, Samantha Edmonds had written this article for The Outline, which is a blog that I had been reading at the time. And I, I had a hermit crab growing up. I didn't realize any of the nuances of how we get them in our world and how they're stolen from their homes. And so this article really blew me away. I didn't realize any of that. And I had been an owner, and I was, there was a mix of guilt and curiosity. And it just, she mentions Mary in the piece and talks to her and talks about her achievements. And so I immediately called Mary up and we spoke on the phone. And it's pretty hard to talk to Mary and not immediately want to go visit her. So my editors let me drive up and we met her for 2 days. Actually, we spent like one night and then the next day together talking and seeing the crab habitat. And that yeah, that started that journey. And then it was really difficult on our team to find a perfect little home for Mary's piece because just so special. But oftentimes we do larger episodes that are like an hour long, and so I was constantly fighting for a little home for Mary on the show, and it never quite worked out. And then this show came along and they were doing all different kinds of love stories. And I was like, oh, this is the perfect place for Mary's piece because it is such a love story. And having that theme to think about Mary and her work and all the work that you all do, it was so fun to just move it beyond just a science story and into what we mean to each other and the love that we invest into things and our like obsessions and our hobbies and the creatures that live around us. And so yeah, so that really gave me an excuse to just put Mary full center. And then we traveled around the country doing that. And then finally Radiolab was like, okay, we're gonna put this on the feed and we're gonna find another crab story just to make Mary's story possible. It was so good, no one could deny it anymore. And so then it got to go on the podcast. I hope that answers your question. That was a long-winded answer. But okay, what sort of response did we receive from the public? Yeah, people loved it. Honestly, for me, the most special responses were in person in the shows. After each show, I'd be standing in the audience, and all of these people would line up, just like begging to hear more about Mary. And there's people who had. There was this one guy who was trying to like raise his own these shrimp in his home, and all these people who had this their own relationship to creatures that had been overlooked, and that was really special. And then there were so many parents that were like teary-eyed that would come up to me afterwards and just feel seen by Mary and her words. And so to me that was the most special response, especially because I work in this field that oftentimes you don't really see anybody after you make something. You put this into their ears and then you never see the humans that are listening to it. And so it was such a gift to get to see all these people who were so touched by Mary's story in real time, like still teary eyed by it all. So that was really special. And then afterwards, yeah, putting it on the podcast, people have just been blown away. I think in the same way I was, because you just don't realize that these creatures are in our world and they're in our everyday lives and our pet stores, and we're not realizing the whole cycle of them and how many other things like that are in our world. So it really made people feel deep emotional things and also stop and ponder these things they were overlooking. Okay. Uh, any more questions? I know there's not many hard hitting questions about this piece. It's mostly just Mary fangirling, which I am number one fan of this club. It was funny to hear Mary's intro. I had totally forgotten about my shell puns, and I was just so delighted that she remembered that, because that was so exciting getting to drive up and imagine what she looked like. And she just opens the door with a giant apron on, and she had been working away. It was so sweet. Um, Dr. Trudge. So yeah, that was also mentioned. He was mentioned in the article, and I called up a bunch of different scientists, hermit crab scientists who had tried to study this, or even crustacean scientists. And he was just so, yeah, he just spoke about the science in a really compelling way, but also the way that he was able to step back and recognize Mary and what she was doing and kind of talk about the poetry of it all. He's just so special. I don't know if he's here today, but yeah, he's just, when you get on the phone with Chris Tudge, it's also pretty hard to not want to talk to him again and again. And so yeah, we did an interview, and then his wife knit me a hermit crab, which I carry with me wherever I move. It's one of my favorite possessions. Um, oh, good. Yes. Okay, good. I figured he was here today. I didn't know if he was in this session. Um, yeah. Do you know? I know if the scientist researched differently or did other studies looking at Mary's work. Yeah, so that was what I think a really fun side effect of this story. I've heard, and Mary can correct me if I'm wrong, but after we spoke to both Mary and Chris, I think they then connected individually, and they've started doing some kinds of research together. And Mary sends Chris information and photos and data for his lab, as I'm understanding. I think that's what happens. And then yeah, they have people studying Mary's work now in a more in his lab, and in a more established, I guess, yeah, having the university being able to work with it as well. So that was such a cool effect of this. And I'm so excited to see what comes of that research. Yay, today at 4, how exciting. Okay. Do I have hermit crabs or want to own some one day? I used to have them. I don't currently have any pets because I've been quite transient. I'm really moving around all over, and I'm set to move to Australia actually in a couple of weeks. So pets are definitely difficult to bring to another country, but especially Australia, they're very difficult. So I don't know if I'll ever own a hermit crab. I think I just now feel such an appreciation and beauty for them. And there's actually a fair bit of writing about hermit crabs. And I think I'm really content just reading and learning about them and knowing that they're out in the world. I don't know if I have the full setup to take care of them. I think now I almost know too much, but I love them. And so my appreciation runs deep. Do I know if there's any legislation in the works to prohibit taking hermit crabs from the wild? I don't think that is happening because of my piece. I don't know about the effect of the piece in like a legislative way, but that would be amazing. I would love if someone heard this and was able to take action for it. Yeah, I spoke to a couple of people who had worked undercover. They were kind of talking to me undercover. They worked at pet shops, and they were just telling me a little bit more about the process. And yeah, I think it's awful. And I hope that change gets made, especially when you realize what intelligent creatures these are. Yeah, Chris will have lots of images during the talk of the Zoe. Oh, great. Okay. That's so great. Oh, I think that's one of the most beautiful effects of this, is that you two were able to strike up a collaboration. I think that's so special. Staging of the storytelling. Oh, yeah. So like I mentioned, the love stories it was the theme of the show. So there were all different kinds of love stories. There was, this letter writing back and forth between this famous Japanese movie star and someone's grandfather, and there was stories of self-love and love songs. There were all different versions of love, and I was thinking about love through the eyes of Mary. And I think her story to these creatures that are so overlooked, that is its own form of love that I really wanted to center. But also, I think there was just another layer there about what it means to love something that can't always love you back, and just thinking about like how much love do we give to these things, and we want to just flood them with love, but sometimes there's a point at which we need to step back and accept that our love really, like I said, it can only do so much. And I thought about that a lot. Like I wasn't quite sure how to stage this all, but that was the big thing, that when I think about Mary, just the thing that helped her succeed was just being able to step back in that way, and how it's a lesson I think so many of us struggle with, and I especially was trying to learn from. um, and that was the big goal of the piece. And so then I worked on that a couple weeks, couple months with an editor. And then beautifully, they actually have this team, Pop-Up Magazine, which no longer exists, sadly. This was the last show. Mary, they did a farewell tour where they did some of the greatest hits, but Mary's piece got to be in the last ever Pop-Up Magazine show, touring the country. And they had a whole team of artists and musicians, and they hear the finished piece and they get inspired, and you just send it to them. And then I walked in a day before we were about to go live and go touring, and I saw the art, and I had never seen it before. I didn't give any direction. It was an artist who, I have to double check her name, but she did all the illustrations by herself without any guidance from me, and it was amazing. And then also there was a whole orchestra that creates original music for this, and that also was just inspired by what they felt from Mary's story. So that was really special. Part of why I get so much joy out of watching it all come together is like I for sure had a part in it, but it was this beautiful dance of all of these creative people coming together and making this thing happen. This is very sweet. These comments are great. Yeah. Oh my God. The audience, I think that was so fun too, being a radio person. You never hear people respond in real time. And I have the parts where I would laugh at like, oh, Mary, so sweet. And then I would go up on stage the first time and people would be so delighted with all of these little things all throughout the piece that I had listened to so many times that I had stopped laughing at. And you feel in live time, people feel deep things like laughter and sadness. You could hear people crying on a stage in front of thousands of people. It was such an experience to get to experience other people meeting Mary for the first time. So it was really special. So yeah, we presented it live. Pop-Up Magazine, the way it works is that it chooses different cities to go present in front of, and our tour did, I think, 8 cities altogether. So you do the same thing again and again, but in new cities. And the whole point originally was that it wasn't recorded, it was live, just a live magazine, and then it would disappear at the end of the night. Luckily, they record it just in case things like this happen and you want to share it. But part of what's so special is that it's really only live, and you have to be there to enjoy it, because so much of it is really being in a group of people and experiencing these emotions all together, and they really want to protect that. But you could totally feel that today watching the recording. So they have the recording. They generously shared it with us for today, because Mary is everyone loves Mary at Pop-Up. She came to the last show in Nashville last year, and it was quite sweet because she just was standing in the audience talking to people at the end of the day, and a swarm of the other presenters, they just went up to Mary and they were like, oh my God. It was like watching someone meet a celebrity. It was really, really special. Yeah. It was sweet. I was telling Mary, so I've been learning how to surf the last few, like, I mean, 2 years, but last year especially, I really took at it. And every time I was getting clobbered by a wave, I would just be like, be the ocean, be the ocean. And I would just try to take Mary's advice with me. And it's definitely harder than it looks. You watch this beautiful story and it's so touching. And then you get out there and you're getting rocked by some waves, or the world is just having its way with you. And I was just channeling Mary every day. So are some people in Virginia today? Is it a mix of virtual and live? Yes. Oh, how exciting. Oh, I hope that you guys are all having fun in person together. Oh, that's so special. We're hybrid. Crab Daddy. I would love a shirt that said Crab Daddy on it. Mary also sent me some very sweet pieces of her artwork after the piece, and they have come with me in all my little bags as I travel across the country to all my little homes. It's been so special. Trying to think if there's any behind the scenes thing that I could tell you, unless people have more questions. I'm not in Ireland now. I'm actually in New Jersey visiting my grandma, and then I'm gonna leave on a family vacation tomorrow, and then I'll head to Australia right after that. So bouncing from place to place before I leave the States. Oh, this we got a sweet picture. Oh yeah. Oh hi, Katie. That's so fun. Oh yeah, that was so special getting to meet you in person. I'm gonna actually just move there indefinitely. So it's a big new chapter. I'm leaving home for the very first time in a significant way like that. And yeah, just gonna see how it feels. I've been in New York City the last 7 years, getting ready for a change, just needing a little bit more of a quiet life with some more ocean in it, as I think a lot of you can appreciate. And yeah, I'm just gonna see how it feels and see what comes next. Yeah, I'm all of the above. Nervous, excited. Sometimes I'm just in denial and then it all hits me and I'm like, oh, this is too much. um, yeah, I think I haven't yet hit the phase of, oh God, what have I done? I wish I could take it back. So I think that to me is a good sign. There's a lot of change. I'm leaving my family, I'm leaving my job, I'm moving to a place where I don't know many people, but my husband is from there. So we'll have a little bit of a community there, which is very sweet. So it'll be a lot of changes. And I'm just going to have to remember to be the ocean when I get out there. I will say hi to the New Jersey hermit crabs. Ooh. Thank you for all your compliments. This is really sweet. Oh yeah, exactly. I'll have to reach out to Chris. An exchange program. What surprised me most about seeing Mary's crabitat? Ooh, great question. Let me bring myself back to that. I think I was astounded with how big the tank was. I knew it was big. I don't think I realized quite how it would take up the entire room. Oh, I also the decorations. Mary just put so much love into these tanks. And I guess I walked in expecting it to be like a cold scientific lab. Not that she ever gave that impression, but there was just so much love and warmth and just the thoughtfulness was so obvious from the beginning. And you just step in and she knew every little corner of that tank and knew like maybe when a sound might come or which crab was which. And there was just it was more love in there than I could have expected. And I was expecting a fair bit of love. It was so great. This is Gab. You guys are giving me a lot of excitement for the big stuff and for the piece. Yeah, this has been such a sweet little merry love sesh. Yes, Be the Ocean should definitely be on one of the CrabCon shirts. I like 100% agree. Does anyone else have any? That's fun to think back to that piece when I first visited Mary. Does anyone else have questions? Oh, that's so good. I'm so glad. Yeah, the other story that they accompanied with it is really good together. It's such a package deal that I love to hear them together. It's so fun. And Mary inspired it all. They just said, we need to go find some crab stories so we can have Mary on the air. at him. Mm. Oh yeah, the sounds. Yeah. My producer Annie McEwen came and she's a pro for getting all those sounds and she went and like shimmered all of Mary's shells and was trying to get the bubbler and there's a lot of things that make sounds in our worlds that I think we just move right by and don't totally notice. And so she's really great at capturing all those little sounds that add to an experience of a place. And yeah, Mary's home has a lot of these little crab sounds. I won't be working with animals in Australia, though I love doing stories about animals and people who, you know, it's hard to find. You have to be able to find the people who like talking about animals, especially in the way that Mary does. It's because you need a talker for radio, but I would love to do some stories about animals in Australia, especially just because it's a different part of the world with such different creatures. So if anyone has any ideas for Australian animal stories, I am open. Oh, that's very sweet. Thank you for all your kind words. Is there anything I would like to add to the ultimate crabitat? Ooh, hmm, that's tough. Do other people have answers to that? That's really tough. I'm like trying to imagine what I would need. Mary's crabitat is so loving that I don't think her crabitat needs anything, but I'm imagining if I was a crab in a giant crabitat, what I would want. Maybe a sound machine with Mary's cooing constantly going. So when Mary has to sleep, I would have her cooing going nonstop. That would be very nice. Um, with thunderstorm. Yes, lots of sounds. Yeah, I notice the sound now working in radio for a couple of years, like 7 years, 8 years. I am so much more sensitive to sounds in amazing ways and also in ways that I'm a grumpier person because I notice things are louder than I used to think they were. But one of my favorite things is to walk around listening to something and wait for a sound from the outside world to kind of come in at the same time and it almost as if the world is sound designing my episode and that one day I want to do a whole episode just sound designed by the world because there's so much going on. Yeah, cooing completely. Yeah, these are such fun questions, everybody. You guys are what a fun group. I wish I was there in Virginia today. What does everybody eat at a crab con convention for lunch? Who? What do I think? How do you think they would react to the ocean sounds? Do the crabs would react? Yeah, that's a good question, Mary. What do you think the crabs would do if they heard the actual ocean? Chicken salad chick. That sounds delicious. Oh, good. I really hope that image of Mary and her eyes twinkling, looking down at the crabs, that needs to get put on mugs, on shirts, on UFOs, on those flags that fly across the beach. It needs everybody would feel like a softer person if they had that in their life every day. Taco salad. That's good. You're making me very hungry. This is very inspiring. I want someone to look at me the way Mary looks at hermit crabs. That's so good. I very much love that. Do you really, Mary? Do you tell each baby about the home they're going to? Oh my God, what do you say? That's so sweet. Oh my gosh, I'm waiting for her response now. I can't get enough of this. Oh my God. I want you to like give me a hermit crab version of the home that I'm headed for. Just put it and record it and I'll listen to it whenever I'm scared. That's so sweet. Oh, do we have some of Mary's crab adopters in the audience as well? Wow, how cool. Oh my gosh, that's so special. Wow, Mary, look at that. It's like you're the like a matriarch of this family. Wow, so special. Oh my God, this is the best. Wow, 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 wow. Two, oh my God, this is truly like a genealogy. Look at this spreading across the world. Raising your own Mary, mother of crabs. It's so good. Swag bag, nice. I have a CrabCon bag. Oh, is it with me? Oh, it's out in my car. I have my CrabCon bag. It's one of my prized possessions. Everyone always eyes it. They're very jealous. Crab whisperer. So special. Any final questions before folks head out for their chicken salad, their whatever, all their lunches that have the taco salad, all the shebangs? I want to make sure you guys get the most of your time here today. Thank you, Mary. You've brought us all together. What a gift. Oh my God. Mary's story makes me so funny how I just cry. Like I was feeling so emotional listening to it today. And I'm like, I've heard this story like maybe like 100 times because I've been editing it for months. And then I hear it live and then I hear it recorded and then I hear this. And it makes me emotional every single time just to know someone like Mary exists in the world. Last question about the story. What did I think it would be and what was my surprise to learn? It's hard to remember exactly what I thought it would be. I think I was hoping it would be something close to what it ended up like in the beginning, just describing this creature that's overlooked. I think maybe I thought it was going to be more about the things that are overlooked in our world rather than these things that we need to step away from that we love so deeply and want to rescue. I think luckily joining this show and thinking about these crabs through the lens of love, that really helps me see, there was things that Mary had said in that original interview that when I first listened to it, I had one assumption about what I was looking for. And so you pay attention to certain things and then you listen to it with years that had passed and this new lens of loving stuff that's really sometimes you just have to step away from. And that's actually the biggest form of love you could give. And that was so cool to see all these things that Mary had sprinkled out in our interview that not that I had overlooked, but I was focusing on this other thing. And yeah, it was like a gift to just recognize that there had been this other story there all along. Oh, thank you, everyone. These are such amazing, kind words. I really feel so grateful to get to be here today. I hope everyone has an amazing rest of CrabCon 2023. This was really so special. And yeah, Mary, you have so many fans and you're just incredible. And I'm so glad that the world knows how special you are and how talented and how beautiful. And so thank you so much. I just look at this community that you've made and brought together. The mama matriarch, Mary Queen of Crabs. Oh, thank you, everybody. Thank you for your kind words. All right, I'm gonna let you all go so you can have lunch, but please, if there's any follow-ups, I'm always here. So thank you again. So much love. Bye.